The best build for Anaxa, the Twink of Amphorius, the Silver Wolf of the Erudition class, and, let's be honest here guys, every The Herda main's wet dream, because he literally fixes all of our flaws and goes even further beyond that. So in today's video guys, we'll be going over the best build for Anaxa as we mentioned, and talk about how he kind of works so you get the gist of how you usually be playing him and everything like that. So guys, first things first, let's go ahead and talk about the best build first, starting off with the light cones first. And his best in slot light cone guys is obviously going to be his signature light cone. Why? Because this gives him everything that he needs, and we'll mention that in the kit breakdown later guys. Literally gives him energy, damage percentage, and defense shred as well. Literally everything that he needs wrapped into one thing. And if I'm gonna be honest with you, this light cone can work on a lot of other Erudition units as well, so it might not be a bad pickup if you plan to use this for other characters on your account in the Erudition class, that is. But hopping into number 2 now, number 3 and number 4, they're all free to play options guys. He is a free to play fiend, and honestly his second best in slot guys is going to be the event light cone that you have already gotten right now, because this light cone first of all increases the amount of attack he has. Secondly guys, it'll be giving him a damage buff depending on how many weaknesses are on the enemy, and considering you can get up to 7 weaknesses when he launches ult off, you're talking a 56% damage increase for absolutely free. This is hands down the second best in slot light cone for him. But like I said guys, there's a third and fourth best in slot, both of them being free to play options. Third best in slot guys is the MOC shop light cone, the day the cosmos fell. Why does this work guys? Because literally whenever you attack 2 enemies that have the same corresponding weakness, you're getting a massive crit damage bonus, and considering he can change weakness types or give everyone the same weakness, this is going to come in clutch. You'll practically have this up at all times. Not only this though guys, you're also getting an attack buff with this too, but why this is the third best in slot and not the second best in slot is because he gives himself a lot of crit damage already, and that's coming from one of his talents guys, but we'll get into that in the kit breakdown later in the video like I mentioned before. But the fourth and final option I want to mention, and a sussy option mind you, passkey guys. This guy relies so much on getting his ult up. If you were to pair this up, passkey, which gives you energy every single time you use his skill attack, you'll be supercharging his ultimate move, which means potentially if you have the win set on him, which we'll be talking about sets in a second here, he'll be the fastest gunslinger you have ever seen in your life, okay guys? This guy's action will be advancing like this right here guys. Like, it is insane the amount of speed or the amount of action value that'll be increased with running something like passkey, but that will be hard to run, and you probably do need a big brain to use it. But that's really all the light cones I want to mention guys. He's a very free to play character when it comes to the light cone section. But now let's go ahead and talk about his best in slot teammates, because I can see him being ran in 2 different ways. One for you the Herda slots, and one for maybe you don't have the Herda and you just want to run with a hyper carry. Both of these can work very, very nicely. Let's go ahead and start off with the hyper carry version of this first. So his hyper carry teams are literally a team with him, a sustain character, and either running Tribby, Sunday, Tingyun, or Remembrance MC, or Robin as well. Robin can work in certain situations here too, but literally running any of these supports with him absolutely gets the job done, and he'll absolutely be decimating any like single target enemy that you have. Now, one thing that I do want to show you guys is this little chart right here. This chart kind of signifies when and how you want to run him, right? Because like I said, he can work on hyper carry teams and he can work on dual DPS teams with the Herda as well. And this chart right here signifies where you want to run him and when, right? So the lower amount of enemies you have, the more you want to run them on a hyper carry team. The more enemies there are, the more you want to run them on the Herda team, because the Herda is very AoE oriented. Not to say that he cannot work with the Herda on lower amount of enemies, because he definitely can, but he does get more damage output when you're running him against 1 or 2 enemies versus running him on a team with the Herda, if we're talking about overall damage. So with that being said guys, take use of this chart here. If you're running 3 enemies, there is not much damage difference in between what he can do in a hyper carry team versus what he can do with a team with the Herda. So take that for what you will. And now let's talk about obviously the dual DPS team with the Herda. Now this team is going to consist of him, the Herda, Tribby, really any support I guess you could say, right? Remembrance MC can also go here, and then also a sustainer, or you replace the sustainer with another supporter and then you run a sustainless team. But come on guys, let's be real, we're fucking casuals here. We are not playing without sustained, okay? We are not sweaty tryhard gamers, or at least I'm not anyways. So these are generally the 2 teams you want to run him with. If I were to say guys, I think that maybe he's not on the level of the Herda, because the Herda is very free to play friendly. You can run him on a bunch of different teams. I think he's less free to play friendly than the Herda, but I do think that he could possibly be better than the Herda, especially in single target scenarios. So with that being said guys, probably for the moment you've been waiting for, right? What are the best relics? What are the best stats? Everything like that. But before we hop into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, gamers. We're trying to push 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so please hit that subscribe button now, and I promise I won't scam you for the rest of the video. surely. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about his best in slot relics now. And honestly, this can be divided up into 3 different things here because of the fact that there are a couple different ways you can run him. The best all-around set for him is going to be the 4-piece Scholar Lost and Ear Edition. The reason why this set's so good is because first of all, it's increasing his crit rate, which he desperately needs. He gives himself a lot of crit damage, so you really don't need that much crit damage in his build. You really want to be focusing on crit right here. And then on top of that, guys, you're increasing the damage dealt by skill and ultimates. After using the ultimate, his next skill will be increased by 25%. You use a lot of ultimates, guys. A lot of ultimates, a lot of skills with him. So this set is literally like a match made in heaven for him. Like this Scholar Lost in Ear Edition, guys. This is like the Ear Edition set for 90% of your Ear Edition characters. But kind of going back to what we mentioned before, there is another set you can run, which is going to be the Eagle set. Now this is a pain in the ass to farm. I definitely don't recommend farming this if you don't really have a set for it already, or if you haven't got really lucky. Maybe you can use some of your salvaged relics to like build a set for him. I don't recommend going and actually farming it, but this set can work just because of how fast he can get his ultimate back up. Faster you can get ultimates back up, the better this set works. So I only recommend this under certain circumstances and under certain builds, and we'll kind of touch on that when we talk about these stats a little bit later in the video. But this, I think, is going to be a decent set, especially if you're running with a lot of energy regen and you have a lot of things to give him energy. And then the final set I want to mention here, guys, especially if you have his signature light cone, I really do think that the quantum set could come in major clutch here. And the reason I say that is because while the 2-piece doesn't do anything for you, the 4-piece is actually going to come in major clutch for him because it allows you to ignore 20% of the enemy's defense. And the reason why it gives him 20% is because he inflicts every weakness type on the enemy, which means you're practically having quantum weakness on the enemy basically at all times anyways. So this is a free 20% defense ignore. On top of the defense ignore you could be getting from the light cone, and on top of the defense res pins, everything like that you can have on the team already. So this is going to be massive for him. So with those 4-piece sets out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the planar sets now. And these planar sets are divided into how you want to run them, right? If you're running her more hyper carry, I definitely recommend Runeland Arena. It gives him increased crit rate, which is absolutely massive, and then it'll be giving him increased damage to his basic attack and skill moves, which is something used a lot of. Unfortunately, no damage up for his ultimate move, but boohoo smoohoo. Skill attack damage and basic attack damage are still really good, considering you can still proc a skill instance off on the enemy with his basic attack, so all around pretty good. Those are the main 2 things you're using. But the other set I want to mention, guys, is if you're using him on a team with the Herda, and that's going to be Izuma, because it's giving you a 12% attack increase, and then on top of this, a 12% crit rate increase if you have another ally on the team that is the same path as him, which the Herda is. So for a 12% crit rate for him, absolutely amazing. This is going to be absolutely diabolical for him and make him that much easier to build, because I feel like the overall build and stats we're going to talk about now are actually really easy to get. So let's go ahead and hop into his main stats first, guys. On the boots is going to be speed, on the body crit rate or crit damage, crit rate preferred, on the orb is going to be wind damage percentage or attack percentage, and then on the rope is going to be ERR or attack. The rope here will be completely dependent on what kind of team you want to run him on. If you're running him with the Eagle set, I do recommend an energy regen rope, just because you can get its ult up that much faster. I'll talk more about the full builds right after this, but generally, guys, you do want to be running him with ERR especially if you plan to run him with the Eagle set. If you're not running him Eagle set, then I recommend attack percent here, and I think you'll get the job done just as good. Now hopping into these substats, guys, I recommend crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, speed, generally the general things that you want to be hitting regardless. Right now for the crit rate, I do recommend around 80%, because if you're running him with Izuma, you're getting a 12% crit rate increase, which puts you around 90%, which is where you want to be at. If you're running him on another set like Runeland, then you probably want to be hitting closer to 90% here. So you don't really have to worry about the crit damage that much, because he is giving himself a lot of crit damage, which we'll talk about in the kit breakdown later in the video. But as for overall builds, guys, I see you running him 2 different ways, right? You run him on a DPS build like Scholar Lost in Ear Edition with the Izumo, with attack rope, and then that's how you would run him there. Or you can go for the alternative build of the 4-piece of the Eagle set with either 2-piece Runeland or the 2-piece Izumo as well, and then run that ERR rope with maybe a pass key to help out with extra energy, so that means you're getting the ult up that much faster, which means you're getting turns faster as well. But now let's go ahead and talk about how his kit actually works, guys, because we've been talking about it here and there, but now let's hop into what it really is going to be doing. Starting off with this ultimate move first, guys, you'll be hitting every single enemy on the field and inflicting them with sublimation. Now what this sublimation is going to be doing is essentially we'll be making every single enemy be inflicted with fire, physical, ice, lightning, wind, quantum, imaginary, every single weakness type in the game, all right there at once. That means it doesn't matter what ally you have on the team that's doing damage, you'll be hitting the enemy for their toughness bar. This is also why I call him the Silver Wolf of the Ear Edition class, guys, but he hits every single enemy. On top of this, guys, you'll also be CCing the enemies as well if they don't have any control resistance. Some enemies in the game have control resistance, but guys, he's not just inflicting weakness from his ultimate a move here. He's also going to be inflicting it from his talent as well. But before we hop into the talent, let's talk about what the skill does, because the skill will be targeting one enemy and then doing 4 instances of bounce damage. This attack will be prioritizing enemies that have not been hit with the bounce of the skill yet. So that means if you have 4 enemies on the field, each enemy will be hit 1 time. You'll also be getting a skill damage increase for each attackable enemy. So if there's 4 enemies on the field, you'll be getting an 80% damage dealt increase there. But that's where we need to talk about the talent, guys, because for each time Anaxa lands 1 hit on the enemy target, you'll be inflicting 1 random weakness type, meaning if you hit every enemy on the field, you'll be inflicting each one of those enemies with a weakness type. If you have 1 enemy, you'll be inflicting them with 4 weakness types, and it'll be prioritizing weakness types that are not already on the enemies. This lasts for 3 turns, so you can practically have this up at all times. The better Silver Wolf, like I've said many of time before. But not only this, guys, whenever he's hitting these enemies with this attack, if they have at least 5 different weakness types, he'll be doing 30% more damage to those targets. And on top of that, guys, after using a basic attack or skill, he'll be putting out 1 more instance of the skill as well, which makes him really SP efficient. So if you've been worried or struggling with your the hurt of skill points when you use ult and you don't have a skill point, wow, he is skill point efficient here, guys. So every single time you use a basic attack, you get a free skill mixed in with it. And what makes it even better, guys, is some of these bonus abilities that he has, because one of his bonus abilities basically allows him to regenerate 10 extra energy when using a basic attack. This is very similar to how Sparkle works when using her basic attack. You get 30 energy back instead of just the 10. But on top of this, guys, if there are no enemies on the field that have at least 5 weaknesses on them, you get immediately 30 energy. So this can be really good in situations where there's a lot of enemies on the field and you can't proc all of them off at once. This helps him build up his ult really, really fast. But stacking with this as well, guys, for each different weakness type on the enemy, he'll be ignoring their defense, and that stacks up to how many weakness types are on the enemy, up to 7. So, I mean, a lot of defense ignore here as well. But not only that, guys, the reason why he works as a hyper carry and as a dual DPS, because of how his last bonus ability works, guys. If there's only 1 character of Erudition on the field, which is him, he gets a massive crit damage bonus. If there are 2 Erudition characters, every single one of your allies gets a 50% damage bonus. This is going to work super, super well. Now, it kind of sucks he didn't get crit damage, but if you're running one of the hero, you're already getting an 80% crit damage bonus there. So, all around, I think this guy is good. This guy is golden, and I think he is going to be really strong if you have him on your account, and you built him the way we talked about building him today. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. I don't want to make this video too long, but yeah, guys, see you later. Bye. How you enjoying Anaxa? Let me know in the comment section down below. Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.